Hola, yo soy Señora Loera, tu maestra de español. Let's start with a quick video comparing por and para. One of the hardest things to know in español is to know the difference when to use por and when to use para. Let's go to the paper. We have por and para. So I have some quick tips for you. We'll do them together and then we'll do some examples. So a simple trick for beginners. We use por to talk about a journey, cause, or exchange. And we use para for an end goal. So I'll write it right here. Para, we use it for an end goal. Right there. And we're going to use por for a cause or exchange. My pen's on the way. So let's go over some of the easiest ways to say para, and then we'll practice together. So let's start with para. Para means for, so both of them mean for, but we just use it in a different context. For para, this means in order to, or for a purpose. So para, we use it for in order to, or for a purpose. Like, for example, when you study to learn. So I study to learn. I study to learn. That's a goal. We study to learn. So estudio para aprender. Estudio, I study, para aprender, to learn. So we're using two verbs. The first verb we conjugate in the yo form. The second verb we don't conjugate. We use the verb to learn. Imagine this ER is saying to learn. Okay, let's do another one. I train to run faster. So the goal is to run faster. I train to run faster. Again, yo. The verb train is entrenar. Entrenar ends with a R. To put it in the yo form, we say entreno. Para the verb to run, correr. Más rápido. I train to run faster. Yo entreno para correr más rápido. Okay, so another way, these are the two for goal, and I'll put it right here. I'll get another paper in a little bit. The next one is a receipt, like when someone receives something. For example, this letter's for my mom. I bought the flowers for you. So at the end, it's a receipt. A recipient. So this letter is for you. Is for you. This letter, esta carta, es para ti. It's for you. It has a recipient. Compré flores para mi mamá. I bought flowers for my mom. I bought. The verb is comprar. Flowers for my mom. Para. Compré flores para mi mamá. To say another place we need para is to say a due date or a deadline. For example, my homework is due by Monday. The project is for tomorrow. We have a deadline to say when is this for. So deadline. or due date? So I'll put both. The homework is for Monday. Homework es tarea. La tarea es para el lunes. La tarea es para el lunes. And the project's for tomorrow. The project is for tomorrow. El proyecto es para mañana. So it's a due date. We know when specifically we need to have this for. So far we have a goal, recipient, and a deadline or due date. We're going to use para for this 3. We have one more, and it's when we know the destination or where we're going to. And I'll write it on the back. Then we'll do some examples at the end. Destination. For example, I'm going downtown, or we're leaving for school. So we know a destination we're going to. I am going downtown. Yo voy. I am going para el centro. And the other one, we're leaving for school. We're leaving for school. Salimos. Salimos is the verb salir. We changed the ending salir to salimos because it's we. We already talked about how to change the verb to different pronouns. And para la escuela. So a quick recap. When do we use para? Por and para both mean to. When do we use para? We use it for an end goal. We use it for a recipient, for a deadline, and lastly, a destination, where we're going. Now let's see the other part. When we use por, I'll write it on another paper. We have por. And this means because of, by, or per. There are a lot of other ones. So we're going to use several. Again, this is, we have 5 main ways to say it. So I'm going to break it up in 5. The first one is movement or route. For example, I passed by your house. We were going through there. We walked through the forest. We were going through there. So the first one is movement or route. Or route. The first one, we walked through the forest. We walked, the verb caminar, conjugated with we, it's caminamos. Caminamos por el bosque. Caminamos por el bosque. Another example, I passed by your house. Again, movement or route. Yo. Past is pasar. Pasar in the yo form in the past tense. Pasé por tu casa. On this sentence, we use tú, but tú, it's possession, so it doesn't have an accent mark. Remember, only tú as a pronoun uses an accent mark. So let's move on. The next word the next way to say por is when we have when we know what something's gonna last, duration. We have it like, for example, I slept for 8 hours. I worked for 2 weeks. So we know the amount of time. So we will use por for those examples. I worked for 8 hours. Again, yo. Trabajar is to work. In the past tense, trabajé por 2 horas. Por 8 horas, I'm sorry. Yes, so we know the length. The next one, yo dormí por 8 horas. I slept for, let's say, 4 hours. Yo dormí por 8 horas. So far, movement or route where we're going through and how long the duration of something. Another place or another time we use por is when we exchange. For example, I'll give you my sandwich for your juice. I bought the shirt for $20. So it's an exchange. I'm giving you something and I'm getting something on the other way. So we'll put exchange on our paper. So the first one was, I'll give you my sandwich for your juice. We're exchanging. I'll give you my sandwich for your juice. So we say te doy. It's an irregular verb. To give, it's dar, but it's an irregular verb. Te doy mi sandwich. Sandwich tiene acento en la A. Por tu jugo. Por tu, say an accent without an accent mark, jugo. And remember, the word jugo at the same time can mean someone played, jugó, if it had an accent mark. So accent marks do matter. When we're writing, we'll know the context we're writing in, but just for you to know. The next example was, I bought the shirt for $20. The shirt for $20. In the past tense, to buy, comprar. In the past tense, compré. Yo compré la camiseta por $20. Dólares has an accent mark. So when we're exchanging something, I'm giving you my sandwich and you're giving me your juice. I'm giving you money and I'm getting a shirt. We have two other times when we will use por. When it's, the next one is when it's cause, reason, or motivation. For example, I did this because of love. So what and the end, what was it? Or thank you for coming. So it's the motivation, the reason, the cause. So we'll write it. Cause, reason, or motivation. For, all right, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks, gracias. Por venir. Thanks for coming. So some common expressions that we have using por, I'll write them down in Spanish and then I'll let you know what each one means in English. Let's go for the first one. Por favor, very common one. Por favor. These are just phrases. Please. The next one, por eso, when we're explaining something. Por eso. That's why. Por supuesto. Por supuesto. Of course. Por fin. Finally. Por fin. Finally. And these are more like expressions where we use por. And the last one, por ejemplo. Por ejemplo. For example. So those are the most common expressions we use por. I will say a little bit more about por and para just to make sure we understand. So para, we use it as we said, just a quick recap. Para, we said it's for a purpose, correct? We said it's for a purpose, a final goal. For example, I work for a big company. What would you use por? Would you use para? So you work for the big company, the end goal. So yo trabajo para una compañía grande, a big company, right? Another one is this book is to study. So the goal is to study. So el libro es para estudiar. Yes? Another, some examples for por is when I traveled through Europe. Yo viajé por Europa. Por Europa. So it's movement or route. Yo viajé por Europa. I was there for 3 days. So how long were you there for? Yo estuve por 3 días. I was there for 3 days. So I'll try to make it quick. I'll come in another video to have more examples for por and para. But these are the basics. Please have a notebook, write them down, and then try to think, when am I using this for? When am I using this for? When it's an exchange, when it's a goal, when it's how long this is, when I went through somewhere. So we can quickly, and the more you practice, the easier this is. So this lesson was por and para. We'll come another time to do some other examples. But stay tuned. This is Señora Loera, tu maestra de español. Adiós.